it's supposed to get to you if you're human, 9:48. Let's go to the KUAM News Zoom room. Sergeant Paul Tapao, the Guam Police Department, standing by. Good morning, Sarge.
Hey, half a day. Good morning, Sabrina, Chris, Jason, and the crew.
How you been?
Thanks again for having me.
How have you been, Paul?
Good, good, good. It's like what you guys were saying, about how the island is coping with the losses and everything. We at the Guam Police Department were, received the news of, an LEO who had passed, and again, on behalf of Chief Stephen Ignacio, the men and women of the Guam Police Department, we send our deepest condolences and our thoughts and prayers to the family of Renee Tumanda, and of course to our customs and quarantine officers for their loss. It's always hard when you lose a fellow LEO, and again, this is just heartbreaking and everything. But continue to understand that you have the family, the Guam Police Department, supporting again our law enforcement agencies that are out there, and these are our brothers and sisters in blue. So on behalf of Chief Stephen Ignacio and the men and women, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, and of course to our customs and quarantine brothers and sisters. So we continue to keep each and every individuals in our prayers. So this is something which we all need to work together and of course be a part of.
Right, and being on the front line, it's a risk that you take every single day. And I know
Absolutely.
GPD, for example, you guys have seen more officers that have tested positive. I've kind of lost count at this point.
So to keep you up to date, we did report on September 22nd that 2 additional officers to contact tracing were identified, and they had tested positive. They are assigned again to a specialized unit within the Guam Police Department. They're in recovery. This brings our total up to 13 officers who have tested positive with the COVID-19 virus. We have, I believe, 11 officers have recovered and returned back to service. And in the course of understanding the needs and the health and wellness of each and every GPD personnel, last week we had last week Wednesday we tested 87 GPD personnel. Again, this is a movement that was made by the chief and of course the management of the Guam Police Department in ensuring that we have the capability of providing not just the safety and security to our personnel, but also providing the services to the community. So it's good news that 87 personnel, GPD personnel that tested on Wednesday all came back with negative results. So we continue to work with the needs assessments of each individual with the Guam Police Department, and continue to work with our officers who are still in recovery and providing any assistance that we can. So we're feeling the effects of COVID-19 and how it plays its part, with work and of course the family. So, our management team has really taken the step forward in assuring that each personnel remains safe as they do our daily jobs.
Sarge, with the officers who were COVID positive, whether through contact tracing or your own investigation in the department, for the most part, did most of them get exposed to the virus in like a household setting? Did we have any officers who caught it at work?
Again, this is where the HIPAA comes into play. We work closely with and just identifying the officers that may have been in close contact or may have been exposed. It's really hard to put a finger whether it happened at home or within the line. So, this is where HIPAA comes in, where it gets the information that's given to us is pretty much, we need these officers. How can we get a hold of them? And we work from there by getting detailed information as to where the exposure may have occurred. We don't have that information, but again, this is where we work closely with the officers and their family in ensuring that in any way possible, the Guam Police Department can provide any assistance for their endeavor and of course towards the recovery.
Let's switch gears a little bit here to stupid knucklehead crime. Let's start with that shooting here. Is what's his name? McCord Jr.
Yeah, so, again, this was reported on Tuesday, September 29th. Our officers from 2-1 Precinct Command, they entertained a shooting incident that happened on Governor Carlos Camacho Road, and it was a vehicle-to-vehicle incident. Fortunately, the occupants within the vehicle were unharmed, and they provided a great description of the vehicle. We did post it out or provide the media with a description. This case was assumed by our detectives from our criminal investigation division, and with our operators from SWAT, we were able to locate the suspect vehicle within the duration of the investigation, and we were able to obtain that person of interest, the again, John Anthony McCord Jr. was identified as a viable person of interest. On Wednesday, again, with our detectives and with our SWAT operators, we were able to locate Mr. McCord in a home in the Twinning area. He was brought in and he was arrested for the charges related to the shooting incident, which was presented again to the media. So again, this is really the work that is put in with the Guam Police Department in our front line, and of course dealing with COVID, and of course all the COVID operation. We continue to provide that safety and security within the community, and it's great that we have our personnel out there to adjust accordingly and move where we needed to deploy them.
Right.
So we were able to bring a swift closure to this case.
Right. Paul, what was the connection between the victim and Mr. McCord? Did they know each other? Was this a random drive-by, or was road rage?
No clue, ma'am. I have no clue. He will be magistrated today, so a complete magistrate report will be presented. So from the preliminary investigation, they had no connection whatsoever. So it was just fortunate that the occupants within that vehicle didn't sustain any injuries, and they provided. They aided, the investigation by giving a great description of the vehicle.
Right.
So we were able to locate that in a timely manner.
Sarge, what advice would you give to people who come across a situation like this? Because I just wanted our people to be prepared. Like, I'm thinking if that happened to me, I'm going to do that, ram into the, as soon as I see the hand with the gun out of the car, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? Do you try and ram them in off the road, or how do you protect yourself and your family?
It's really your situational awareness. And again, this is something that, you're not going to think may happen to you, but in the event, it's really maintaining your composure first and foremost. You don't let your emotions get the best of you. Your instincts will kick in. Things will be heightened. Adrenaline is going to definitely become a factor. But paying attention to details is one of the more critical things. And, this is something in which I teach and I practice with my family and my kids. Make, model, color, license plate, any distinctive markings. Their extra eyes, their extra ears. I'll take care, because I know what I need to do. It's pretty much just provided through the training that's available, and of course through personal experience. If the situation dictates where I may have to engage, I would have to, you would have to look at your options. Self-preservation is always important. If you have means of escaping, then by all means, that should be your first priority. If you can give us the vivid information, we can work from there. But if you're facing a situation that there are no means of escape or evade, that's where you have to evade. And of course, the actions that you take, you should always have a goal mindset that my objective is to stay alive and to continue to, persevere and, provide some sort of information to the proper law enforcement authority.
Yeah.
We definitely don't want you to engage in that, but, the best you can to escape and to go into a safe area. That's what we recommend.
Right. And there's been a few shootings. I remember I covered the one on Back Road where the pregnant lady was shot. Then there was another guy up the road in Gigo. So again, good job in bringing swift closure to this case. And what you're saying is key is the victim's description of the vehicle, right? So really want to kind of focus in on that. Like you said, situational awareness. I've been telling that to my kids since they were little. Remember your SA. Your situational awareness.
Pay attention to details, man. That's the best thing that you can do.
Right.
You know, but it's really swift actions and coupled with a lot of information that we got to from the community. We were able to bring this closure to that. But in regards to the Mangilao shooting, that's still an active case. We still continue to work that, and we still continue to ask the community to provide any information. I think we ran that segment in the crime of the week segment for a duration of a month so that we can get more information. And the thing that separates this case and that case is that the Tumwini incident happened in a really high populated area. So we had the availability of surveillance cameras that we were able to pull and utilize. And these are things in which the setting in itself aided the investigation versus a rural strip late at night where there's no cameras and it's just dotted by street lamps. It's really, these are things that pose a challenge to our investigators. But again, that case continues to, it's an active case. So rest assured that, any leads that we get, we move forward with that. Hopefully it brings us one step closer to bringing closure to that case.
Right. And community involvement, as you said, is really key in these investigations. And we saw that with the child abuse case down in Telefofo. And I don't know about you, but I'm a little worried when you hear about children going around asking for food and for money, and then you couple that with what's happening with families struggling and the drug problem, epidemic, I want to say, or no, pandemic that we have on this island.
The methdemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad news. A family of 9 kids that had to be really, the custody award had to be awarded to the government, and it's really, when you separate it, your matriarch and your patriarch of the family, that's always been our tabletop discussion at home as a family. It's the importance of the parents' play in the upbringing of the kids, because my wife is an educator, and she sees the inner lines too of the importance of the family through education, and of course a child's behavior. But when you have kids that are don't have that or are left to fend for themselves, that's when it becomes a bigger issue. And of course, compounded with addiction and of course the stressors that the community is facing now with unemployment and of course the COVID-19 situation. Excuse me. These are things in which we as a community have to really take account of. I mean, we've been battling the addiction, the ICE epidemic since ever since. And it's really, when you bring kids into the fray, it becomes an issue now, because we would like as a whole, as a community, to break that cycle. Like Cynthia Cabot was on, earlier, the cycle of violence continues throughout the family because it's pretty much an inherited trait that will be passed on to the kids, that they continue to be surrounded by that. And again, the same thing with addiction. The cycle of violence or cycle of addiction will continue to persist if it is done on a daily basis. And this is something in which we work closely with, even though we are a reporting agency, the first line, we do the interdiction. We still work closely with our service providers like the Coalition, Guam Behavior, the Oasis, any NGOs that can provide the assistance. This is where it starts for the family. But you're right, in that 9 kids being taken away from their mom and dad, it's really something.
Yeah. Terrible. Sergeant, I know that, so when we were talking about the shooting, were you referencing the one that occurred on Back Road where the pregnant woman was shot, or were you referencing?
Yes. Okay.
Do you have any update or all? If you want to put another call out for additional information in the unsolved murder of Juan Uggan? Because I talk with the family a lot, and when we were talking about shooting, that just popped in my head that I got you here. Have we had any development?
So I was referencing the Back Road, the Route 15 Pocket shooting incident. Right. Again, like previously mentioned, that's not a cold case, and we're going to continue to reiterate that. We continue to work, and of course, this was a homicide that happened in the latter part of the year, and it's unfortunate that it happened during the holiday season and everything. But, there are people out there who have information. There are people out there who know what really happened. And this is where we reach out. And this is why, as I've illustrated to the segments of the Guam Crime Stoppers program, and of course the Crime Time, that one element, that one ingredient, or that one piece that's missing, it's that critical piece of information that is needed to bring closure. And I continue to follow up on a weekly basis with our cases that are still still there. And through the command staff meeting, the chief had assured the respective divisions that handle our CID that let's continue to work this case. This case continues to still remain open. So the beautiful, the thing that people ask, whether this is going to be now classified as a cold case, or are we going to continue to keep this an active case? When that case is active, we continue to still work the leads, and we can continue to still reach out to the community for any other information that can bring closure. We have, there were months where we actually had a hot lead, and only to come up to where we, it brings us back. But these are things in which we still need as an investigatory agency to bring closure to this case. But with the one Uggan incident, we continue to work with the respective community, and of course any individuals that may have information. Again, and this is where we ask the family members, this is where we ask close associates, we know something happened, and there's people there's members of the community who understand and know that how can I better provide this service. Use the Crime Stoppers if you feel that your life is in jeopardy, or you don't even you don't want to provide any information of your identity. We protect that. You remain completely anonymous. So again, we reach out to the community for this case.
Okay. Paul, should we expect anything else with the DOC investigation coming down? Or is that pretty much closed?
That's pretty much now in the hands of the AG's office. We were able to, there was 2 cases that were separate. One was the contraband, the crystal methamphetamine, and of course the OC guard, and of course the separate case was the prohibited contraband, which was Major Anton had alluded to, was Copenhagen or tobacco products. But with the major contraband, we were able to, I think, net 4 arrests from that, to include an inmate that was incarcerated in the Department of Correction, to extended family members, and of course associates with this incident. So I think we netted 4 arrests, or 3 arrests, after the initial arrest of the DOC officer.
What about the Santos, or the other, the one who was trying to bring in the Copenhagen?
So the question was asked about the difference between that. Now we reached out. I spoke to our investigator regarding this case. Again, Major Anton had alluded to the personal protection with its employees. Now, he did mention during his interview that this is something in which he had tobacco products and everything, and whether it was used to distribute to the inmates. We reached out to the AG's office. We provided information about where we were with the case, and we moved forward. As the officers who made the arrest with a proper book and release. Now, it's pretty much public record becomes. Information becomes public record once we have book and confinement, and of course the individuals become, their rights to be magistrated. So now they become public record. When somebody becomes book and release, it's pretty much a summons to appear and issued a citation, or that summons to appear at a later date. So I believe the date was set maybe a year from now.
That's
so
nice.
that's where it pretty much. But we did make an arrest for promoting prison contraband.
So you guys did your part. You guys did your part, and we just had a major shakedown with all of these DOC officers who all got off because of the incompetence of the Attorney General's office. And now we have another officer, one who brought in meth allegedly, who's being routed through the system. But it sounds like the other guy who was smuggling in the chewing tobacco, and I'm just assuming that we know that this officer worked at the prison, was there at the time that there was the sting and all those Limo and all those guys went down. but
Yeah.
nothing's happening to him. Not a slap on the wrist, not an official misconduct, just book and release and get back in there. So you guys
Well,
did your part,
yeah.
it sounds like.
Well, you know, again, the totality of the circumstances that netted the arrest and everything will dictate, of course, the arrest procedures. Now, you still got to understand it's an administrative investigation that Major Antoine had indicated. So there should, you know, they find, you know, separate and apart from the criminal investigation, that's incumbent upon the Department of Correction. But again, you know, we did consult with the AG's office regarding that officer that was caught with possession of a tobacco product. You know, the intent, we still have to determine the intent and of course, the full totality of what had transpired.
Thank you, Sarge.
So based on that full totality and the investigation, I mean, come on, this is like this first time bringing in something.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, you know, prohibited tobacco products in the school campus and everything where, you know, it's not permitted, but, you know, you do it outside of home or outside of work, you know, it's your habit and everything. So you can purchase that and stuff versus, you know, and these are the things in which we had to weigh out and look at.
Did y'all ever look into how cell phones are getting into DOC? I mean, anyway.
So maybe we
anyway.
can pin it and see where it comes
Anyway.
from.
Right on. We'll get Major Anton on Monday.
You know, that's we've seen you know, as sophisticated as drones flying over and everything, and you know, I believe it was the last legislature that made it against the law for the airspace within government buildings and government restricted areas. So, you know, that was a major case, I think 2 years ago, where they were utilizing drones within, you know, flying overhead. So these make some of the things, and, you know, it's there. We continue to still work that, and we've seen some of the sophisticated ways in which contraband is being smuggled in.
Right.
Did you give us an update on that crash back road? The three-car?
I'm still reaching out. I'm still reaching out to the personnel. We do know it's a 3-auto crash with injuries. It's not a fatality, so that's the good thing. So, you know,
Was
again,
highway activated or no?
No,
Okay,
no, it was
so it
handled by
wasn't serious.
the Central Precinct Command.
Okay.
All right, Sarge. Thank you, Sarge.
Right, you guys stay safe, man. Be
You
safe
too.
out there. You know,
Wash your hands. Be safe.
Yep, continue to stay positive, and you know, other than wash your hands.
Yep.
Jesus.
Stay positive, but not COVID positive. Got you, Sarge.
Absolutely.
Be safe.
Stay safe.
Okay.
Take care.
10:10. I'm just disappointed. You know, we have to hold